July of 2018, a huge controversy shook Malaysia and Thailand when an 11-year-old girl married a man 4 times her age. The man already had 2 wives and several children. In fact, the girl, the 11-year-old girl, the bride, is actually of the same age as one of his children. Based on the reports that came out in Malaysia, the parents of the girl actually consented to the marriage under one condition, that she will stay with them. She will not stay with the man until she turns 16. So as soon as she turns 16, she can go and live with the husband. However, while the parents of the girl seem okay with it, the second wife of the husband was not okay with it. So she was the one who actually posted a photo of the solemnization ceremony between the husband and the girl. So it created a whole controversy. There was a huge conversation about it, a huge outcry, and something positive happened. I guess sort of positive, because the Central Islamic Council of Thailand declared it illegal, or not allowed. Sorry, not allowed. Mosques are not allowed to marry anybody below the age of 17. It's not everything. It is something, and that something is better than nothing. So just to give a better background of what happened, the man said that the first wife, so he has 2 wives, the first wife actually consented to it, the second wife didn't consent to it, and so he had to do the wedding in secret. He did say that he does not understand why the second wife would not consent to it. He is fulfilling his obligation as a husband and as a father, and so that should be enough to give her consent. Now the girl on the other hand says she's madly in love with the man, and she has been so for several years now. So as I've said, there was a huge controversy, a huge outcry, and last December, Thai media reported that the Central Islamic Council of Thailand decided to pass a new regulation prohibiting mosques from marrying children under the age of 17. Now, it's a good move. It's not the best one, but it's a good one, because there are still some exceptions to that rule. So there are 2 exceptions. Number 1, if the parents of the child consented, if they give their consent, whoever the parents would be, then it would be allowed. Second, if the Islamic court gives their consent, if they give their permission, then it should be allowed. Now, for that to happen, a subcommittee will have to be formed, and one of the subcommittee will have to be a woman and should be knowledgeable of the laws of Islam. So that woman, that member of the committee, should be the one in charge of interviewing the girl. So if they deem that the marriage is going to be beneficial to both parties, then they will allow it. It's still, it's still, that's still an exception that may be abused by a lot of parties. According to the Borgen Project, it's a US-based nonprofit organization, arranged marriage are very, very, very prevalent in Thailand and in many, many other Asian countries, because there's poverty is so high, and specifically in Thailand, there's still a dowry system. So that is actually one of the reasons child marriages is very prevalent. It's a way for many of the families to get out of poverty. Once the girl is married to a man, then they don't have to think about the girl anymore. It becomes the responsibility of the man. The UNICEF statistics actually shows Thailand has the highest percentage of underage marriages after Laos. Those married by the age of 15 in Thailand make up 4%, while those married by the age of 18 reach up to 23%. There are 258 million children and youth that were entirely excluded from education. They couldn't get any kind of education because of poverty. And the problem actually became worse because of COVID-19. There's over 90% of global student population that got affected by COVID-19. So in Western countries, a lot of universities and a lot of schools started doing homeschooling. But in many Asian countries where there is no internet connection and there are no computers, when schools shut down, children were just, they didn't study, and poverty became worse because they couldn't, their parents couldn't go to work, they were fired from work, they lost their jobs, they lost their living. So things became worse than they already were. So that has sort of a domino effect on everything else. A lot of children, a lot of women don't actually have access to reproductive health. In Asia, every year, there are 12 million girls that are married before the age of 18. That is 23 girls every minute. That's according to Girls No Brides. We still have a long way to go in order to put a stop in child marriages. The new regulation put in place by the Central Islamic Council in Thailand is a big step. It's a big step. It's still very far from the finish line. We're still very far from the finish line. That exception can actually still be taken advantage of. But I hope that we can all come together to put a stop on this. I hope that if there's anything we can cancel, we should cancel child marriage. We should cancel no access to education, and we should cancel no access to reproductive health. I hope this stops.